Do you know how the rich people educate their children? The tricks are really jaw-dropping. The tricks some of these rich people are using are truly jaw-dropping. There's a documentation called the Up series, and the director of this documentary began in 1964 recording the lives of 14 teenagers. And in the following 56 years, the documentary shows you the lives of children from different walks of life. Some of them came from orphanages, some of them came from middle class families, and some of them were from wealthy families. And every 7 years, the director will find these children again, conduct individual interviews with them, and observe their living conditions over time. The director would also ask them about their outlook for the future and some current thoughts. And after watching this documentary, you will find that you are essentially watching these children grow up from an angle above. This documentary was known as some people call this documentary the greatest documentary in human history because with the filming of this documentary, a lot happened in between things beyond ordinary people's expectations. The entire documentary presents us with a cruel fact. Even the children of rich people, the children of rich people will most likely remain rich, and the poor children, the children who came from poor families will most likely remain poor. You will find that in different growing environments, even a child as young as 7 years old can vary different. Even children as young as 7 years old can have huge differences in terms of self-confidence and speech and behavior. My name is Devin, and my mission is to help small businesses grow. Today, I'll tell you a very interesting documentary. I think this documentary is something that everyone should watch, and I want to summarize it so that you can know this documentary as well. There's an old saying that if you give me a 7-year-old, I'll show you his entire life. If you see a person's living condition at the age of 7, you will be able to know what his or her future outlook would be like. And this is what we used to hear. It sounds ridiculous, right? But after watching this documentary, you will actually think that this proverb makes a lot of sense. The protagonist in this documentary, Nick, was amongst the 14 children the only one who broke class divisions. Although he came from a poor family, he ended up studying at Oxford University. And in the end, he went to the United States, became a university professor, respected by many people. So how did he do that? What did he do to break the class divisions? In this video today, you will find the answer. If you like today's video, remember to subscribe to my channel and be sure to turn on the little bell so you won't miss any future content. An opinion that rich people educate their children with, but they never tell everybody else, is that you need to learn how money works from a very early age, even at the expense of looking stingy. In traditional education, our parents and school would teach us that money is a bad thing. We are not allowed to talk about money because they think that money is the source of all evil. I remember when I was very young, I asked my mom, "How much money do we have at my family?" And I was scolded by my mom. I was scolded by my mom. She said that this is not something that me as a child should care about. And I believe a lot of people grew up in such an environment. And the consequence is that from a very young age, many people would begin to loathe money. They begin to hate money. And in addition, you learn all these theoretical things at school, and the school never teaches us anything about money. And our aversion for money becomes more and more rooted. And that is why most people's understanding of money comes from self-education. And that is also why you see a lot of these children becoming adult, and then they never learn about money. They never had that financial education, and they kept having money issues or being deceived by others around them. You'll also see that there's a huge diversion on understanding of money in our generation. A lot of people, Some people take money very seriously. They never pluck a dime, and yet other people spend money, squander away money. They make $1 and they spend $2, and they can't save any money. But the rich people would educate their children from a very young age that money is a good thing, that money is just a tool. If you can use this tool, you can get more resources and eventually you will have a good life. I believe personal growth has nothing much to do with education at school, with educate or academic performance. Rather, we grow by pursuing nice things in life. For instance, if you fall in love with a girl and then you know work very hard and then you make money, you show her that you are a valuable person, you are a valuable man. Or if you are willing to, or if you want to buy a new car, then you make more money, you work more hard, and then you get to buy that car. Or if you want to offer your family better lives, you work hard and then you earn money, get a bigger house, etc. And you start investing your money to make your money grow. And through this documentary, you'll see that what the rich tell their children is that money is not the source of all evil. Quite the opposite. Money can give you more options at life, more options in life. And the second thing that the rich people tell their children, what the rich teach their children that other people don't ignore, that other people ignore, is the importance of the importance of socializing and influencing people. To put it simply, social skills are skills where you can make connection with others and ultimately influencing others, changing people's behavior, and as a way to achieve your goals. And you can have a look at anybody in this world who has achieved great things. They are all like this. For instance, if you look at Elon Musk, he can send a Twitter. He can send with just a Twitter. Elon Musk can decide whether a stock can go up or go down. But noteworthily, but what's noteworthy, noteworthily, but I do need to point out here that what the rich people tell their children is not to flatter other people. Rather, it is about how you can behave naturally in a social environment and communicating with others from an equal standpoint. Right? What I mean is everybody is equal. And in this documentary, you'll see that the rich people would often take their children to all kinds of. And in this documentary, we'll see that the rich people often bring their children go to some parties with various celebrities wearing suits and evening dresses. And by doing this, they're teaching their children to the ability to integrate into a new environment. And on a smaller scale, you can say this is an exercise of social skills. But from a more grander point of view, they are actually teaching their children how to practice their influences, how to share their own viewpoints, to affect people around them, to integrate more resources. Elon Musk, a couple of years ago, Elon Musk pulled their children out of school once and for all because he said that what children can learn from school are just filling out blanks. They're not very useful. What Elon Musk wanted was he wanted his children to become an ordinary, just an ordinary person in the future society. He believed that in today's world, what people really need are people who can solve problems by integrating resources. So he believed that what his children really should learn are the ability to innovate, the ability to socialize. So he took his children home to educate them himself. The second point this documentary showed was very important. And if your parents haven't done this in the past, you will be able to resonate with this greatly. If you are a parent now, you can take some retrospection. You can take some retrospection to see if you are doing this, which is helping your children find where their interest lies. The ability to not work for money. In this documentary, you will see a very young kid called Neo. At the age of 7, he was, very, 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 very cute, very, very young, and looks very smart. But at the age of 21, he worked at a construction site, moving bricks, laying bricks, and he was only able to get by with his salaries. But what you need to know is that Neo came from a traditional middle class family. His parents were teachers, and he had very, very great income, and they had pretty good income. When Neo reached adulthood, his life began to go downhill. And when the director went back to interview him, he began complaining about his parents. He said his parents made all the arrangements for him. They taught him to study well, to study hard. They taught him to get a good job, but they never taught him why he should do it. They never attempted to ask him what he wanted to do and where his interest really lied, where his interest really lies. And as a consequence, when he reached adulthood, he can still not find his goals, his aim in life. And a lot of people face the same problem when they first stepped into society, when they first stepped out of school, which is they work all day for money, and after earning that money, they would buy their car and they would buy a nicer car, they want to buy a nicer car, they would buy a house, and they would want to buy a nicer house. And their lives go into this circle of making money to live better, and then they need to work harder in order to have a better life still. So it becomes a dead end circle. It becomes a rat race, and it also kills their interest. It kills their enthusiasm with life and with work. But what the rich people teach their children is that you need to find a cause that you truly, truly love. How important it is. It's super important to not settle down and to really find a cause, a career that you want to devote your entire life in. And in this documentary, you will see that children who came from rich families versus children who came from ordinary families, the biggest difference was the rich kids had a more colorful life. Their parents would make arrangements for them to go horse riding, do all kinds of sport, and do arts, and even go to recite poetry, essentially teaching them to explore what they truly love to do. The CEO at a very famous hedge fund company called Bridgewater, Ray Dalio, once said that he made all this money in his life, but he never worked for money. He said that if you can find what you truly love to do and what you do has value for the society, you would discover that making money is an end comes naturally. Money really comes naturally. It is not an end in itself. And what's more shocking is the fourth point. The rich teaches their children how to spend money. The education most of us received was to how to be frugal, because there are so many uncertainties in life. In the future, you might get into an accident. You might get a finance issues. You might get financial issues. You might get sick, and in order to combat all these adversities and difficulties, we have to have money. We have to have enough savings to combat all these uncertainties. But a very interesting thing, what you will find out, is that the money you saved up will become more and more worthless. If you look long enough, no matter what you save, whether it's US dollars, Japanese yen, or Australian dollars, all this money will become more and more worthless. What used to be a large sum of money 20 years ago, but you take it to today, it might not even be enough to pay for a down payment for a house. Unlike ordinary families, where they never teach their children how to make money, how to cultivate the ability to make money, quite the opposite. The rich people educate their children the power of money. Never save your money. You have to learn how to spend that money. And when I say spend that money, it's not I'm not saying they're not saying buying a lot of wasteful, enjoyable stuff. Rather they teach their children to spend that money to places where it can bring you more money in the future. After you buy a car, the safest way is to park that car in your garage. But the purpose of buying that car is to drive it, not to park it in your garage. And same with money. The purpose of making money is not to put in the bank. The rich people teach their children to get into investments, spending that money wisely and correctly, because they believe that even if they lose all that money, if they get deceived by others and get scammed and lose all the money, they should experience those things as early as possible, as young at age as possible. So you will understand that there is a lot of news in today's world where a lot of people worked all their lives only to have their money taken away by scammers. They get deceived by others. But even when a journalist or when a reporter interviews him, he still believes that his money has not been scammed away. That is because nobody has ever told him the importance of managing your money and the judgment for and the ability to judge for risks. And the fifth point is quite counterintuitive. It is the ability to use the power of your family. Mayer, the founder of the Rothschild family, left a lot of family lessons for his descendants. But to put all these lessons in one word, it is to be able to be able to work as a family. It is be able to power up as a family. The education that we ordinary people receive from a very young age is to work hard and make all your money by yourself and be independent and not rely on your parents, which is fair advice. When I was a child, my parents always told me they would support me as much as possible on my education in terms of my education. But once you go out onto the society, you are all by yourself. And we get all those motivational stories every day about how a millionaire started from scratch and made a million. But once you step into the society, once you step into the real world, you realize it is all a lie. Because really, nobody started from scratch. It has been this way for the entire human history. It has been this way over the entire human history. There was the naughtiest kid in the documentary. His name was Tony. He didn't do anything every day other than getting into trouble and getting into fights with others. And from a very young age, his dream was to become a horse rider, a horse jockey. But the pitiful thing was that he was only able to become a normal, ordinary taxi driver. So why did he become a taxi driver? The reason was simple. There were 3 children in his life. His 2 elder brothers, were taxi drivers. And so the only path his family can arrange for him, the only path that he can foresee as a child, was to become a taxi driver. And when Tony became an adult, he had his own son. And when the director went back to interview him again, asking him what he wanted his child to become, he said he wanted his future child to become a taxi driver. Because why? Because in Tony's eyes, in Tony's opinion, being a taxi driver is the best job in the world. You have no worries, you have no anxiety, you don't even have any economical worries. As long as you work hard, you will be able to make money. So he believed this is the best job in the world. But the rich people look at things differently. The rich people, from a very young age, let their children know that you have to stand on the shoulder of giants to be able to look far. Bill Gates is a very successful person, without doubt. But he will never tell you that his mother was a board member at IBM. From a very young age, When he started his first project, Bill Gates' mother introduced his son Bill Gates into her business cycle, into her business circle, and started working with important human and started working with her important partners and started introducing Bill Gates to her networks. So for for rich kids, for children from rich families, the ability to utilize the power of their family is so much more important than starting from scratch. And the sixth point that rich people tell their children, but poor people or ordinary families will never will never tell their children, is to face up to their inner desires. There was this economist that conducted an experiment. He took two children, one from a rich family, one from a poor family. He brought them to a shopping mall and he gave them each $100 and let them spend that money however they want. And he noticed that the kid from the poor family, he always thought about how to maximize the value of that $100. He he would always calculate, okay, if I buy that, how much money would I be left with? But when he looked at the child from the rich family, he noticed that as soon as the rich family stepped into that shopping mall, his eye laid on a toy that costs $200, and he can't even afford. It is something that he can't even afford, and his parents explained to him, you can't afford that toy now. And then the rich kid began to make a scene. He began kicking and yelling. And from the surface, it seems like this kid is being nonsensical. He's not being logical and reasonable. But from another point of view, from another perspective, it really depends. It's really about how we face up to our own inner desires. If you only make $5,000 a month, you would plan your life. You would plan out your life in the future with assuming you would only be able to make $5,000 indefinitely. But what you will find eventually is that no matter how stingy you are, no matter how you want to maximize the value of each dollar, you will still live the life of $5,000. No, nothing will change. But what the rich people tell their children is to not downplay, and to not repress their inner desires. Although you only have $5,000 of salary now, how do you maximize the value of that $5,000? $5,000. How do you exchange as much as possible, as many things that are valuable to you as possible? And eventually you will find out that desire is the driving force of all human progressions. And what might seem like unreasonable desires, but if you guide it appropriately, will lead to great results in the future. The 21-year-old Nick was the only one in this documentary who had broken social divisions, class divisions, because he was born into a farm family, and his family wasn't very well off. He was pretty poor, and his brother has disabilities. His father, every day, all day, his father would tell him that he will get Nick to inherit the farm and take care of his brother. But what Nick told the director, that his dream was not to become a farmer. He would definitely not become a farmer in the future. And having this dream, having this drive, having this unreasonable dream for the future, he worked hard. He stood on the tractor, right? He goes to school on a tractor and studied hard. And this desire drove him to complete his goal one step at a time. And eventually he became an expert, a respected university professor in the field of nuclear fusion he went into Oxford University and managed to jump up, climb and managed to climb up the social ladder. Eventually, he became a very respected and very famous professor at an American university, at a university in the US. And the last point that rich people tell their children but never tell other people, but ordinary people don't tell their children, is the reason behind their enthusiasm for the charity causes. See these news all the time. Steve Jobs' wife donated 165 billion US dollars, and Bill Gates was committed to the charity cause in the second half of his life, and his and Bill Gates' daughter was the chair at a charity farm. The reason why they are so committed, the reason why the rich was so committed, the reason why the rich is so committed to the charity cause is that they understand that wealth is fluid. It comes and goes. You can't protect it. You can't manage to save your wealth from leaving. Rich people's money often the first bucket of money that rich people earned usually comes from saving problems for other people. But when the entire society is in trouble and nobody has a good life, and only when you are rich, you are the most dangerous person. A rich family often has experienced lots of difficulties, so they won't let this happen again. They would always teach their children to help people who are in trouble, to help people who are having difficulties in their lives. And in a way, they're helping themselves too. And another point is that a lot of countries have crazily high inheritance taxes. And what you will notice is that if you don't plan out, if a rich person does not do some planning, and when he wants to pass down his wealth to his descendants, his descendants can only inherit a quarter of his wealth. But they managed to find a loophole in this system. If you donate the money to a charity institute, then this money will not be counted towards your inheritance, because the charity companies because the rule was that if you donate 5% of the asset in that charity fund, you won't be taxed anything. But what the rich did was they put a clause in the contract was that the future controller, the controller of the charity institute, will be my descendants. And that's why you see after 6-7 generations, the Rockefeller family's wealth is still well protected. So how do they do charity? Don't think that they are not really giving their money away to poor people. For instance, Mark Zuckerberg donated money to a charity institute that helps people with cancer, but he didn't really just give away the money to people with cancer. He actually invested that money in companies that do cancer research. And the profit those companies generated will come back to his charity company. So you will see that as they're doing more charity, they are actually having more money in the charity fund. And by doing this, not only can they leave more money to their descendants, they're also passively learning how to manage money, how to manage companies by having these charity funds. And also, it also brings good reputation to the family. And you can see how good this move is by the rich. Traditional education, most of our parents, they teach us to behave well, to play the game, and just become a regular member, an ordinary member in society. But when the rich educate their children, they keep telling them to change the rules of this world. They are always able to take the first step. One sentence that I totally agree with is that the poor will never know what the rich is thinking, but the rich will always know what poor people are thinking. In today's society, understanding how the world works is a key. I made a mistake in the past believing that through my own hard work, I need to do more work to be able to make money. But later I realized that in life you have to do less in order to get more. What you need to understand is how to do less things, but brings you the same amount of income or even more income. In our audience, there's a lot of people doing e-commerce and doing small businesses. There's a lot of small business owners in our audience. What I teach them is to do less, but still get the same result. That's what I've been doing in the past, is teaching small business owners how to do less to make their career more simplified, but brings them more returns. And what I've done today is I've compiled my experiences helping small business owners and e-commerce owners. How do they get more? How do they do one definitive thing to bringing more customers and bringing more revenue? And I believe it will help greatly if you are starting a business or will be starting your own business, whether it's online or offline, but you are about to transition into the online business. And one common theme that no matter what these rich people teach their children, one common theme we see in the world is that people who are able to see the future sooner than other people will get a step ahead of the game. And what I have seen in the past by helping small business owners is that going online, becoming an e-commerce business rather than a traditional brick and mortar business is the trend in the future. It will, and it is not coming back. And one of the greatest difficulty that I see people suffer from when they start an e-commerce business or they want to scale an e-commerce business is the fact that they don't know where their customers come from. They keep telling me, Devin, I have great products and services, but I don't know how to get my messages out there. So what I've done in this video is I have put together a toolkit on how you can acquire more customers and grow your business faster. So if you are in the process of going online, transitioning online, starting your own online business, or you are already in the online business, you are already in the e-commerce business, but you want to scale your business up, bringing more revenue, do less things, but still get the same result or even get more results than you previously got by doing less, I believe this toolkit will help you greatly. And my name is Devin, and I help small businesses grow. Thank you for watching today's video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell notification so that you won't miss any of my future contents. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.